wish you success. Any one of you who join us, just know that we pick the best among you. And nobody will be segregated. Nobody will be given undue chance. And nobody will be excluded. This is the only company that does this in this country. The only institution that does this. And I assure you that the outcome will reflect your performance and that when you join us, you'll be happy working for this company. For very many of you here, I can tell you that you are coming to join a family. And this family is a very, very happy family. And we represent Nigeria. The best of Nigerians work in this company. And you'll be one of them. Thank you very much.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow.
Good day and welcome to Beyond the Headlines on GbaramatuVoiceTV, reaching you live from the Niger Delta Media Center in Ogunowori, Delta State. This is where we share the hottest headlines, most intriguing conversations, and a fresh take on the news that matters. I'm super excited to bring the latest news story to you this morning. I am Awogo Iniko.
Yes, good day, and I am Best Olowo. Welcome to Beyond the Headlines. Of course, she has briefed you already. This is a platform where we'll take you beyond the news, giving you in-depth analysis, insights, and perspective that matters. Yes, of course, today we have a whole lot to uncover today. In fact, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because obviously we have news stories to bring and, lots of conversations, all right?
Yes, we will be going straight into the top story, making it to our headlines this morning. Tinubu sacks Mele Kyari, appoints Bayo Ojulari as new NNPC CEO in major shakeup. President Bola Tinubu has removed Mele Kyari as a Group Chief Executive Officer, GCEO, of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NNPC Limited, and dissolved its board in a sweeping overhaul of the national oil company. The decision, effective April 2nd, 2025, was announced in a statement signed by Bayo Ojulari, Special Advisor to the President on Information and Strategy, early Wednesday. Citing the need for enhanced operational efficiency, restored investor confidence, and a more commercially viable NNPC, Tinubu invoked his powers under Section 59(2) of the Petroleum Industry Act, PIA, 2021 to restructure the corporation. As part of the overhaul, Bayo Ojulari takes over from Kyari as a new group CEO, while Amadou Musa Kida has been appointed as NNPC's new non-executive. Additionally, Tinubu appointed 6 non-executive directors from each geopolitical zone. Bello Rabiu, representing Northwest, Yusuf Usman, Northeast, Babs Omotowa, North Central, Austin Avuru, South South, David Ige, Southwest, Henry Obi, Southeast. Meanwhile, Lydia Shehu Jafia, the Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Finance, and Aminu Saad Ahmed from the Ministry of Petroleum Resources will represent their ministries on the board. This restructuring is aimed at repositioning NNPC Limited for greater productivity and efficiency in line with global best practices. We are taking bold steps to transform the company into a more commercially driven and transparent entity, the statement read. The changes take effect immediately, and the new board has been handed a strategic action plan, which includes a review of NNPC operated and joint venture assets to ensure alignment with value maximization objectives. Tinubu, who has prioritized investment-driven reforms in the oil sector, highlighted that since 2023, his administration has attracted $17 billion in new investment and is now targeting $30 billion by 2027 and $60 billion by 2030. The government also aims to raise crude oil production to 2 million barrels daily by 2027 and 3 million by 2030, alongside a gas production goal of 8 billion cubic feet daily by 2027 and 10 billion cubic feet by 2030. Furthermore, President Tinubu expects the new board to elevate NNPC's share of crude oil refining output to 200,000 barrels by 2027 and reach 500,000 by 2030. The statement added. The administration has prioritized domestic refining capacity to reduce reliance on fuel imports and strengthen Nigeria's energy security. A brief profile of the new NNPC leaders. Kida brings over 30 years of experience in the oil and gas sector. He is a graduate of Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he earned a degree in civil engineering.
In this country.
He later obtained a postgraduate diploma in petroleum engineering from the Institute of Francas du Pétrole, IFP, Paris. He began his career at Elf Petroleum Nigeria before moving to Total Exploration and Production, where he rose to become Deputy Managing Director of Deep Water Services in 2015. Most recently, he served as an independent non-executive director at Pan Ocean New Cross Group. Bayo Ojulari, New Group Chief Executive Officer, GCEO. Ojulari, an indigene of Kwara State, studied mechanical engineering at Ahmadu Bello University. He began his career at Elf Aquitaine before joining Shell Petroleum Development Company in 1991 as an associate production technologist. His expert spans petroleum process engineering, strategic planning, and field development. In 2015, he was appointed Managing Director of Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company, SNEPCO. Until his latest appointment, he was Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer at Renaissance Africa Energy, leading a $2.4 billion acquisition of Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria, SPDC. Tinubu thanks outgoing board members. President Tinubu expressed gratitude to the outgoing board members, acknowledging their role in rehabilitating the Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, which resumed production after prolonged shutdowns. President Tinubu thanked the old board members for their dedicated service to NNPC Limited, particularly their efforts in rehabilitating the old Port Harcourt and Warri refineries, which enabled them to resume petroleum product production after prolonged shutdowns. He wished them well in their future endeavors, the statement read. This major shakeup signals Tinubu's determination to reform Nigeria's oil sector, restore investor confidence, and drive growth in the industry. With a new leadership team in place, NNPC is expected to undergo significant transformations to enhance efficiency, boost oil and gas production, and reduce reliance on fuel imports. And that's the lead story on Beyond the Headlines today. We'll also go straight to the background information on Ojulari. Yes, in the person of Bayo Ojulari. We'll be going straight to read his profile. What you need to know about him. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday sacked the board of the state oil firm NNPC, including its group chief executive officer GCED Mele Kyari and board chairperson Bayo Ojulari. The president also approved Bayo Ojulari as a new GCEO of the NNPC. Mr. Ojulari is an energy expert who describes himself as a business leader with a proven track record in the global energy sector. According to his LinkedIn profile, he worked full-time at global oil giant Shell for over 24 years, rising to become the managing director of Shell Nigeria Exploration and Production Company, SNEPCO, in November 2015, a position he held until July 2021. His LinkedIn profile shows that he first joined Shell in November 1991 as an associate production technologist at Shell Petroleum Development Company, SPDC, after he left Elf Petroleum Nigeria as a field and process engineer. He worked at Elf as a fresh graduate from September 1989 to October 1991. Mr. Ojulari joined Elf after graduating from Ahmadu Bello University, Zaria, where he studied mechanical engineering between 1985 and 1989. After joining Shell in 1991, he rose to become a member of the Integrated Studies team at Shell headquarters in the Netherlands in June 1994, a position he held till October 1995. Between April 1997 and November 1999, he was the head of planning, economics, and budgeting at SPDC Nigeria, from where he rose to become the asset leader and head production technologist at Shell in Oman from December 1999 to September 2003. He became the Sub-Saharan African regional planner at Shell headquarters in October 2003 and held the position till December 2004. Joined the Premium Times WhatsApp community for access. From January 2005 to October 2008, he was the manager corporate planning and strategy at SPDC Nigeria, during which time he also briefly held the position of asset production technologist from November 2006 to March 2007. At Shell, he remained in Nigeria from then on, becoming the manager, asset development, onshore and shallow water. SPDC Nigeria from October 2008 to October 2010. From January 2010 to October 2015, he was the development director at SPDC Nigeria, after which he rose to become the managing director at SNEPCO from November 2015 to July 2021 when he left the company. He established the BAT Advisory and Energy Company Nigeria Limited in September 2021 and served as its board chairman. One of the main tasks of the company was to provide consultancy services to firms in the oil and gas energy sector. He was appointed the Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer of Renaissance Africa Energy Company in January 2024, a position he held until his new appointment as NNPC Chief. He only announced his appointment at Renaissance Africa on LinkedIn about a week ago, saying it's been a while since I started my role at Renaissance Africa Energy Company as Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, but I wanted to share this update with everyone. He joined Renaissance at a time when the company was concluding its purchase of a shell asset in Nigeria. Renaissance now control SPDC's 30% stake in the SPDC JV, an incorporated joint venture with government-owned Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation 55%, Total Exploration and Production Nigeria Limited 10%, and Ajib Energy and Natural Resources Nigeria Limited 5%, Shell announced. Mr. Ojulari will now head the NNPC Nigeria's main oil and gas firm, which has been dogged with allegations of corruption and inefficiency for decades. He also joins the NNPC at a time when his former firm, Shell, announced its divestment from some of its Nigerian operations, especially onshore operations in the oil-rich Niger Delta. The oil and gas expert will now be expected to bring his experience into running the NNPC. President Tinubu also handed out an immediate action plan to the new board to conduct a strategic portfolio review of NNPC-operated and joint venture assets to ensure alignment with value maximization objectives, presidential spokesperson Bayo Ojulari wrote in a Wednesday statement announcing the new appointment. Joining us live now from Lagos, Nigeria on Beyond the Headlines is Dr. Monday Ashibogu, a development and policy expert, to break down the implication of this decision, the new leadership, and the road ahead for NNPC. This is why you need to stay glued to your screen, because we have a whole lot to unpack for you this beautiful day. So we will be going now on a short break. But before we do that, make sure you drop your comments and get involved in the discussion. We want to hear your comments. What do you have to say about this new appointment, about the sack, and the future of NNPC and what it holds for us? We'd like to hear your comments, and of course, we'd love to read it out. Do well to follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, X, and of course YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at GbaramatuVoiceTV and turn on your notification button so you will be the first to know when we come live. Yes, do well to also visit our website at www.GbaramatuVoiceNews.com. We'll be right back.
I wish you success. Any one of you who join us, just know that we pick the best among you. And nobody will be segregated. Nobody will be given undue chance. And nobody will be excluded. This is the only company that does this in this country. The only institution that does this. And I assure you that the outcome will reflect your performance, and that when you join us, you'll be happy working for this company. For very many of you here, I can tell you that you are going to join a family. And this family is a very, very happy family. And we represent Nigeria. The best of Nigerians work in this company. And you'll be one of them. Thank you very much.
Energy for today, energy for tomorrow.
Welcome back. Still beyond the headlines on Baramatu Voice TV, reaching you live from the Niger Delta Media Center in Ogunubori, Delta State. Of course, you already know Beyond the Headlines where we share the hottest headlines, most intriguing conversations, and a fresh take on the news that matters. And on today's topic, we'll be talking about the sack, the way Tinubu sacked Mele Kyari as the NNPC Group Managing Director and appointed Bayo Ojulari. Now, to take us further in this conversation and discussion, we will be talking to from Lagos, live from Lagos, Dr. Monday Ashibogu. He is a development and policy expert to break down the implication of this decision by President Bola Tinubu. So,
all right, sir. Good morning, sir. Welcome to this wonderful show Beyond the Headlines. All right, sir. Quickly, it is no news that, the former group CEO of NNPC, Mele Kyari, has been sacked. And of course, a new one has been placed, person of Bayo Ojulari, as the new group CEO of NNPC Holdings. So, sir, can you actually, give us more in-depth analysis on this issue? Do you think it is a political-driven initiative, or it is something that should have been done? Because it was obviously, it was with the former president, yes, the former president. It was put in as at 2019 and all of that. So do you think it was a normal process, or it was a political driven initiative?
Okay, I think we need to be very careful about our choice of words by the word sack. If you look at the Petroleum Industry Act that was promulgated, you will see the provisions for the creation of the NNPC Limited as a limited liability company, and also the transitioning from a corporation to a limited liability. In the implications were that the positions of group managing director was changed to group CEO, and in that transition, Mele Kyari was saddled with that responsibility. But you also look at the provisions of that act also that gives tenure for a group CEO and how he can be appointed or relieved of his appointment. That transition team had outlived their purpose as at, let's say, January this year, when Mele actually clocked the ripe age of 60. But other considerations were taken, I'm sure, by the presidency in reshaping that board of the 11-man team by asking all of them to go and positioning Bayo Ojulari as a group CEO, and then having new persons to be saddled with responsibilities. The presidency also gave them marching orders to improve capacity of local production to 200,000 barrels by 2027 and 500,000 barrels by 2030.
Yeah.
That's quite an ambitious, given the fact that our 4 refineries are not optimal as we speak. And the milestones for Kyari was the revival of Port Harcourt refinery and also the attempt to reactivate Warri refinery as well. So I think he has done his best, and it's appropriate that he takes a bow at this moment. Ojulari is also not a stranger in that field. He's been in the oil and gas sector, starting from Totafina Elf into Shell, and he's also been on one or two subsidiaries of the NNPC at one point in order. So it's in order for a system to transition like this. So the implications are that we should expect maybe some form of new activities, because each person that will come in will want to prove that he has capacity to deliver from a new point of view. It is also our hope that the new board would also look at the partnership between local refinery and discourage the activity of importation. It is hoped that with someone like Bayo, he would also see the support that will be needed to get for the Dangote refinery and other subsequent refineries that should come on board to help the Petroleum Industry Act, survive with NNPC as a main driver of the process.
Okay, sir. So with Bayo Ojulari as the new group managing director of NNPC, what does this mean for?
Not managing
group
director.
CEO.
Group CEO. So what does it mean for Nigeria as a nation?
Well, I don't think it means anything. He's just a new appointee. We are yet to see what it will mean. It is when he will be scored against his records. We can assess Mele Kyari right now. We can talk about Mele Kyari as GMD of the NNPC as a corporation, and also Mele Kyari as GCEO of a limited liability, and the transitioning the revenues in billions of dollars that they brought in. He was the first person to come out with the financials to say NNPC had gone into profitability after over 20 years of running at a loss. So you can only measure what, let's say, Mele Kyari has done, and then expect to say, okay, with what he has done, we expect to see a transition further from Bayo Ojulari coming on board. If Bayo is coming on board, we expect that Bayo should be able to say, okay, he's going to get the 4 refineries producing optimally, and then get the local refineries, other experts in oil refinery, like we know we have Oriental refinery, we have the Boa refinery, we have Dangote refinery also. These refineries also producing optimally for local consumption and also for exports. That receipts that will come in from there will also show up some form of revenue and bring the pressure on Forex. And then you can now start talking about an exchange rate that maybe perhaps you can pride yourself at 500 naira. But at the case now, it is far-fetched because we're having issues of both imports and the inability to meet local capacity, and also the ability to meet our Forex demands already.
Yeah, I was even, talking about this oil production and all of that. Nigeria is aiming to 2 million barrel per day in 2027. Now, do you think this is a realistic target? What do you think the new group CEO should do differently? Do you actually think that's a realistic target? 2 million barrel per day?
There are key stabilizers for achieving that production. There was I think there was a time we also got to 1.8 recently. The reasons are not far-fetched. You must look at security of the region where you operate, and you should also look at what you're doing offshore and what you're doing onshore, and these two must match and correlate to give you the figures. Now, with the crisis in Rivers State and some pockets of crisis here and there, apart from illegal refinery, bunkering, illegal bunkering, sabotage of pipelines, and so on and so forth, if these issues are stemmed as to the minimal level that you can get, there's nothing wrong in achieving 2.2 million barrels. In fact, not just 2 million. OPEC output is 2.2 million barrels. And to achieve that will not be difficult if oil theft is minimized.
Is limited.
So security in the region is one of the area also the group CEO should focus on, in ensuring that he builds the capacity and platforms that are well secured to get optimal production of this crude for both export and local consumption.
Okay, so talking about his capabilities and, of course, capacity, and he recently joined the Renaissance Group.
Yes.
So, do you think the president saw him more of an experienced person who is able to carry out the vision of the group?
Well, you see, you would only assess people from their history. He's a technocrat.
Yeah.
Right? He's an expert in that field. But his capacity to also meander the politics of oil and gas business in Nigeria will be another tough for him. He's not, he's coming from a multinational experience where maybe things are done in a very structured manner. You will have to deal with nuances of government. You will have to deal with the antecedents of governors. You will have to deal with FARC. You will have to deal with state governors. You will have to deal with host communities. There are a lot of things that he's going to be saddled with now that are going to be, let me call them novel to him, outside the technocrat experience. So the politics of oil and gas, I don't know, I cannot speak for now, but we would see that how it will play out upon his assumption of office from today. So let us just keep our fingers crossed and say, okay, fine, whatever it is, the politics of oil and gas would actually be a major determinant to his technocratic experience.
Yeah, all right. Talking about, corruption and transparency issue in this sector. Now, do you think this new leadership would actually, fix some things in those sectors? Talking about corruption, transparency issue, following past leaderships and all of that. Do you think there's a way this new leadership will go around all of this?
Let me not sound pessimistic, but I think this oil and gas sector go hand in hand with corruption, and they're embedded. But what we should look at is how to stem the tide of corruption within that sector. This is one major cash cow that everybody in the country looks up to. Government, private sector, individuals, everybody looks up to the NNPC as a place everyone wants to be. So you cannot divorce that fact that there will be issues of obscurity, there will be issues of transparency, and being a very big corporation like that, despite the fact that it's a limited liability, the bureaucracies of that place will also make transparency a bit challenging. The accounting process also will become is also a bit challenging. But I think we're beginning to get some semblance of some form of transparency. When in Mele Kyari's tenure, he released annual reports subsequently. And I expect that Ojulari will take cue from that and make it more transparent. We've also seen the NAT reports and the issues that were raised. And I think Mele Kyari took some efforts to address some of them in the first 2 years of the